Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Swerdlow.
And today we have a very special podcast for you.
A classic podcast.
A very classic one with a very, very special guest, Christopher Garetano, who is the producer of the Montauk Chronicles movie.
Welcome, Christopher.
Welcome.
I'm so happy you decided to stop by, and I want to know if you brought your trophy.
Yeah.
You'll travel with the
wears
trophy?
it around his neck with a chain, and he walks to the airport with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessary.
Well, it is if it was him, that's what he would want to do.
Well, I actually took a picture of the award, and I do have it labeled on my
And you were going to wear it around your neck on your next. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So anyway, we wanted to speak to Christopher about the movie, about how
Montauk.
Montauk.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, well, I wore this for you.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for noticing. I really appreciate that. So, Christopher, congratulations on the award.
Yes, congratulations.
Thanks.
And that won Best Picture Award.
Best documentary.
And what was the name of the festival?
It was it was a festival named after the great science fiction writer Philip K. Dick.
Mm-hmm.
And the festival director really is well acquainted with Dick's writings and his novels and his philosophy. And he made a point to specify even each award why. And so I thought that was really nice because I don't usually care about awards. I think like the achieving the film and getting it to people and how receptive they are and the discussions that it creates is the award really. Like that's what the film is about. So.
They didn't happen to mention it like Best Actor Award or anything.
You got that award, yeah. It's waiting for you.
I heard
Just in case.
I heard rumors about it.
They actually have a statue in the shape of you.
Unbelievable. Was I wearing a mankini or was it
Yes.
just
From now on, it will be called the Stewart and Janet Swerdlow Award.
Mankini
for
Award.
acting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. And actually, this was the culmination of a lot of years of work for you.
Yeah. I spent. I made 2 movies. So I started in '06, as you know. You were one of the very first interviews, and I wasn't happy at all with the first film. By the time it was finished, it took 4 years.
Wow.
So many things happened, but just to make a long story short, the world changed while I was making the first one, and filmmaking technology changed, and I changed. So by the end of it, I was about to release old work that I just had no connection to anymore, and that was one of the main reasons why I felt I needed to start again. And I learned so much about the Montauk Project, about you. I felt like I could do better, and I knew I could. So it was really important to me that I start over, and it was so hard for so many people to believe that. Why could a person work on something for so long and then spend so much time and money and resources and then start from scratch again? So it's just difficult for people to believe, but it's exactly what I did. So.
It was hard for me to believe because I thought the first one was great.
I did too. In fact, as people know, I find it very difficult to watch myself. I don't even watch the podcasts. And when Christopher released that first film, I think I told you at the premiere there, I said if I leave the room, it's not to do with the film, it's because I can't watch myself.
Sure.
And I stayed through the whole thing, and I could look. And
that was the first one.
That was the first one. And this one's even better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This one is amazing. I mean, I didn't think it could get better. That was kind of my point.
I'm always nervous when I watch things like that, especially a big thing like this. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to look? How am I going to sound? And I really watched it.
You did an amazing job. The second film was the first one was so good, and like I said, it was just stellar.
Thanks. I don't like the first one. And I just feel like, learning it's such an enormous story. Your story, the entire Montauk story, Al, Preston, and the setup. And to try and fit that in what we call a movie, because it can't be longer than 2.5 hours, maximum. Otherwise it starts to become something else. And I think people lose track of what's going on. So to condense what are we talking about, 14 years, plus a wraparound story introduction, all into one, like a 2-hour movie is very difficult. I think it required me just personally to get better at this thing, storytelling, movie making, to make the second one. But it wasn't a matter of just going back and fixing the first one. I couldn't do that anymore. I did it so many times I was trying to fix it, so I just needed to start with a clean slate.
Now, interesting to me that so let's say you started 2007, this is
2006.
2006,
Yeah.
this is 2015.
So it's 9 years.
9 years. How did you change as a person? Because as we know in hyperspace, 9 years, nine
Another
represents...
cycle.
Yeah. So how did you change as a person? How did that affect you?
So much. I learned so much about people because I mean, number one, when you're working on something for that long and you're basically, analogous to your nose up against the canvas as a painter, you just, because it's so intimate, I was really doing all the major tasks in the film myself. So the world around you changes. People are born, they grow up, people die, relationships, you break up with people, you don't speak to people anymore. The world itself was changing, but I was always doing this one thing. And I had a lot of time to reflect, self-reflect, observe. There was a lot of exhaustion and pain and having to force myself to get stronger to deal with it. And so many things happened throughout that time. So I feel like, honestly, making Montauk Chronicles was the most profound experience in my entire life so far. It really was. I'll never forget this.
Is there, say, one thing that stood out, say, that you learned more than anything else? Or two or three? What really got you overall?
I think during that time, one thing that personally affected me is the amount of people that may have projected their fear on me of how I'm taking so long with something, or you might be ruining your life because you're dedicating all of your time to this one thing, and realizing none of that was true, and it just becoming stronger, learning how to be stronger by sticking to the path and the certainty of your goal the whole time. And so no matter how many times, and there were so many times that people tried to rip me away from it one way or another, either be telling me that I should stop because it's dangerous, or insulting me because they're telling me it's not going to work, I stayed. And I think at the end, and you were discussing this yesterday with me, that a person is much stronger for going through something like this. So that's what I feel. I think that's the one thing that I came away from. Became a better movie maker, became more conscious of how to protect myself, just in terms of there's a business involved when you're distributing a movie yourself. So I learned so much. I learned how to be stronger. That's the most profound thing. And also opening my mind, because at the very beginning in '06, to all of the philosophies behind the Montauk Project, including your own, but also the ideas behind it. Before that, for me, and rightfully so, they were all science fiction. And I have explained many times that when I came here, this was after interviewing Preston and Al for the very first time in '06, that this environment was so much different than anything I've experienced, that it began to open my mind to so many things. So it was my experience with both of you that I started to see things in a different way. And the very first reaction I had was very, not negative, but I felt ill on the bus ride on the way home. And John Brody, who was here with me for the first time, said, you're going through your paradigm shift, and I said, just get away from me. I don't know why I feel this way. And even I had a lunch with a friend when I came back, and he said, there's something wrong, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I feel like I'm starting to realize things that I never realized before. I think it took almost a year to balance that out. So,
yeah, I think that's a good point, because when people go through growth, especially if you're going to take out something and put something new in, whatever was in there can actually make you feel physically ill.
sure.
That's not unusual, especially in this type of work like we do, because it's mixing you up to such a degree you don't really know sometimes if you're coming or you're going.
I think that when a person is at the edge of accomplishing a major life goal, even if they're not aware that that is a life goal, they have reactions, as you explained. And what I found even more fascinating is just a year or so before you came here, back in 2006, to start filming, I had told you I had a meeting in Hollywood with an actress who was the daughter of two very famous people, and she screamed at me and said, you'll never make a Montauk movie, there'll never be a movie made about this. And so I always had in my mind that it's never going to happen, but you made that happen.
I said this yesterday to you, that I feel like it's like they don't know where I am. I'm moving around from location to location, and maybe I'm just so under the radar that finally when it's complete, who knows?
Well, if you don't mind me saying, we had also discussed the numerology behind, where you are age-wise. You're 38, that's 3 plus 8, that's an 11. That's a double beginning frequency, which means new relationships or relationships become like new careers or careers become like new, and new residences become like new, or you have new ones. So you're really, in my opinion, you've been through the 9-year cycle. Now here you are at your double new beginnings.
That's right.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be at this point, and you've positioned yourself to move forward. And I think, like we talked about, the Montauk Chronicles, while educating so many people about so much, for you was a self-journey.
Sure.
And
Oh,
even
very much so.
your journey that you wrote about or talked about in the movie was fascinating to me as well.
Yeah, the first one, as you recall, there was a lot of that in there, and I felt there was too much of it. And I don't think when you bare your soul on a piece of artwork, you really need to know how to translate that, right? Or it'll come off as a little too overdramatic. But everything was sincere, and so I explained a lot of how, if you recall the first version of the film, of how it was affecting me as it went along.
Yes.
I just didn't know how to express that. I think the subtleties on how I expressed it in the second one were much better, And then situations like this where I can just explain it, I think is better for me.
Mm-hmm. And for me, it was also a change in my attitude towards my own past. Because as you know, I took that original film to Cape Town, South Africa, and Bangkok, Thailand.
And we showed it right here in St. Joseph.
And we showed it here, and by doing so, it was a validation for me. It was that my past, no matter what it was okay for me, and it's who I was and what led me to who I am now. So I appreciate that you did that.
I'm glad. I mean, it's one of the many intentions that I had with it was to help the people involved too. And even when we began the second interview, we did talk about it as kind of like not to psychoanalyze you, but let's talk as if we're in maybe like a less severe, a less invasive hypnotherapy session where you can feel like you can open up and tell me a lot about yourself. And we're here, and you're in good company, and you're safe. We're not going to manipulate the footage any more than what we have to do as an editor.
To make him look so good.
Well,
It's so easy to make me look good, though,
I think the problem is a lot of television shows. They'll focus on awkward moments, and they'll try and emphasize that and make someone look bad.
Right.
I'm an editor. I know how you can manipulate footage, but what I try to do is not emphasize the awkward moments and try and show you the honesty of it, and that's why it comes across well, because in the raw footage, all that stuff is mixed. And as an editor, you need to kind of remove certain things. I mean, it's up to you how you want it to come across, but then you're manipulating it. So I've seen television shows make people look bad who aren't bad.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Bad
I
people.
know.
Well, the thing that I found interesting too is when you came here back in 2006, you said, I don't know what I believe. And so this is my journey, and so you were really personally investigating it, and what came off to me in the movie was I feel like a lot of your audience will identify with you in the journey that you made as you investigated the situation, the people, the places, the things, and I think they'll identify from, what did you think in the beginning versus, what did you personally conclude from all of this?
Sure. I mean, I made a point, number one, to avoid most of the Montauk books because I felt that was a very biased point of view, and I needed to form my own. So we started from scratch, and the idea was to meet you, speak with you, let's hear your story from beginning to end, visit the base personally, see it for myself, feel the atmosphere there, go and just experience it for myself. That was the only way we could have made a movie like this. So to adapt someone else's perspective for whatever their agenda wasn't good. It was good to absorb some of that information. I liked most of all your Alien Connection book was the best one for me before going back the second time around, but then that just inspired me to want to ask you questions, and find more information, and that kind of formed something new for people, because that literature is out there for people to read in that form. Why we do it, as a film, I see it as like this is a new thing.
It was very new, very different.
Everything was totally fresh.
Yes, and the questions that you asked me from watching the movie and watching myself, as I mentioned to you earlier today, I felt like I was watching somebody else, because the information that was coming out of me was really the depths of my memories.
Sure, and there's more of that. I actually had a longer cut. Everybody was in it more. It's just, I felt like maybe it was hurting the pacing as a film, so it had to be cut down a little bit. I mean, I had so much of you in there, more about your childhood, more of Janet, a lot of people were there that, finally, I mean, I think it was in the last days that I literally had to cut out almost 30 minutes. But all of that's on the disc, so I felt maybe the discs that are going out shortly are an extension and a companion to the film. I mean, there's more with you, even though those are still edited, because again, there's no reason to have awkward moments. It just ruins things. So I still cut little pieces out that are insignificant. But the majority of what's in the extended interviews on the disc are not in the film because I didn't want it to repeat again. So there's some really great stuff that you said that is on those extended interviews that I think people would really enjoy after they see the film.
Yeah, and I also was amazed how you recreated the scenes from my childhood and from the base and even the scenes with Jack Pruitt, which were really quite accurate.
That was, Paul Ehlers played Jack.
That was,
he did a good
I
job.
thought, quite amazing.
And I didn't know what Jack Pruitt looked like. I had explanations of him, but it was, we had to kind of figure it out. I assumed someone like that was ex-special forces, he had a long history of different things, so we were trying to just create characters saying, okay, this is the history of this guy. And Chris played Preston, and he had a lot to go on, but the Jack Pruitt character, we didn't have anything.
But it was pretty accurate. And in fact, when I watched that scene, it was like a historical recreation of Nero playing the violin while Rome burned.
Sure.
It was very much like that, and that's exactly how it was.
Wow.
So that was really amazing you did that.
Thank you.
Thank you also. Yeah. So that's...
Is there anything else that you would like people to know?
Future plans or ideas?
Well, in regard to the Montauk project, I have an idea for another volume, and very original. It's not going to repeat itself. And this title keeps coming into my head called Ghosts of Montauk, meaning residuals, things that happened after what was left behind, other people that we may have not spoken to, and then speaking further about it, and expansions and things like that. So I think it would be really interesting, and the approach I have is very different, and I want to keep it exciting and fresh, and I think we're going to do that after my next picture, which is a little bit different than Montauk Chronicles, but
Well, I always wonder what's going on in that head of yours because it's always going, that's for sure.
A lot of stuff in there.
Yes.
I want to make sure everything I do, there's something for me to learn and something for the audience to learn through it. I don't think I'd ever just make a pointless picture with nothing but surface level,
I think your
entertainment.
passion comes through, and I think that's what makes it. I think what people identify with, that deep, honest. This is your gut feeling, kind of thing, and it's the focus and the force. It drives.
Yeah, but in the end, they are left to make up their own minds, their own decisions.
Right, it's another point I made. Most people were very receptive to that. Some people, I guess some real diehards were angry with me because I didn't focus enough on the technology behind the time travel. And it's like, look, unless I had this stuff in my hands, and if I did, it would be a whole movie about it. I want to see every component. I want to see how it works. It would be from beginning to end, the history of how it was made. And that needs a whole film. So it's like when you're working on a 2-hour picture, you have to find places for everything. And I'm confident that what I made was just right for this volume.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, like you said, you took a slice of something and you put it together in a beautiful way that was meaningful to you as a person and to us as observers. And I just think it's amazing what came out of, like you said, that plethora of information that you had to dig through and get that focus on, stay true to your goal, regardless of all the outside sabotage that you experienced during this time, and come out a better, stronger person as a result. And obviously, you had a great picture as a result of your own inner work.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have a lot of great feedback from people from my site, and even personally about the film, and some even say it's going to be a major classic historical movie.
That's why we're going to call this a classic podcast.
That's up to history.
So, I mean, do you really think I could get an Academy Award from...
You know what?
Some
I think if
category?
we created a new award system right now,
Oh, no, I
it would
get
be
it.
better than the Academy.
There you go.
The hyperspace expansions
The
award.
Academy Award could be a kiss of death.
Yeah, you
I
think
think
so?
I think the award is, we have better awards coming.
All right.
Well, we'll leave it to Christopher, because like I said, you never know what's
Yeah.
going on in his head.
You know, thanks for letting me down the easy way. I appreciate that.
And we don't want you to have the kiss of death.
I'm sincere, I mean that, I don't, those things don't attract me, so.
No, we are, very thrilled to have known you and gone
I'm
through
very
the
grateful
process
for you,
with
thank
you
you.
and watched everything happen kind of from beginning to end and then beginning and end again.
Thank you.
yeah,
No,
it's-
thank you for allowing me to capture part of your life and, and trusting me with it. Because again, it's another thing. Film crew can come into your home. Oh, we're your best friends.
Yes, we've been through
And
that.
that's happened, and that's happened.
We have
to
been
us.
through that, absolutely.
That's bad news.
Yes, it is.
And bad energy too. I think it'll work against them one day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What you get out, you get back. So we only wish the best, Christopher. We know you put out the best. We
Thank
wish
you.
that you only get the best back.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for stopping by on your busy, busy schedule
Thanks.
to include us in your rounds.
Yes,
Thank you for
we
having me.
appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And so all of you out there, go get the film, watch it, tell other people to watch it, and spread the word.
Yeah, and it's good to have discussion. It doesn't matter whether they agree or disagree. It's discussion. It opens people's minds, and that's what this is really all about, I think.
So thank you for watching, and
And do you want to give the website where they can order the film?
Sure. Thanks, Travis. It's MontaukChronicles.com.
and that's where you can order the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, expansions.com. I'm sure that we have linked up with you. So if they can't find MontaukChronicles.com, you take a look at expansions.com because
There'll be a link on there for
there'll be
it.
a link as well. And of course, remember to like all of us on Facebook. You're on Facebook, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So Montauk Chronicles, is that the name of your Facebook page?
Yeah, I guess just type in a search engine, either my name or Montauk Chronicles, and you can learn all about the film, and the film speaks for itself, I think. So.
You have other things to order besides the film too?
Yeah, I mean, I felt the soundtrack by Crystal Cordero was really well done, and we wanted to put it out as a record, and there's other stuff there too, but I mainly, the film is there, so.
Posters, T-shirts.
Yeah, all that stuff is there. I made it available, so for anyone that's
Because
interested.
people love
in
that
it.
stuff. I love that
Yeah.
stuff.
No, me too.
I want to
That's
go
why-
order everything you have.
Maybe a
That's
mug
what
with
it
my
is.
face on it.
Yeah, how about that? Have you got that one yet?
I like
You know,
that
I
idea.
just wanted to bring up one thing. Here's something interesting. So, what would you say to dispel there are few people, by the way, who say if you merchandise something or you create minutiae in regard to it, that you're taking away from the importance of it. I personally don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
And a lot of other people don't. But for some reason, there's a few people out there that feel my movie has not lost any of its meaning or significance. There was a lot of pain and hard work that went into it. And if I sell a poster, it has nothing to do with me turning into some kind of salesman. So I just wanted to say that. I feel the same
I
way about
agree.
anything else, and I think it's ridiculous and very hypocritical for anyone to ever feel that way. So.
And there's always going to be people out there that no matter what you do, they have a problem.
Yeah,
with it.
I say they're jealous. And the point being is people want these things and you're really fulfilling a need and an itch.
Sure.
And you have a right to be compensated for your time and your effort. They may be watching, a 2-hour movie?
Yeah.
They may be watching a 2-hour movie, but
It took 9 years to finish.
right, blood, sweat, and tears, all the money that you spent. If they're going to enjoy that, I think you deserve to be compensated.
Sure, and that, again, like, there's very few people that feel that way, but, sometimes they try to
Of course, they're going to
persuade other people to feel that way.
Absolutely. So you know what?
That's
If that,
their problem.
That's right. Then they don't deserve the knowledge that you're putting forth if that's the way they're going to treat you or your products or your film.
Oh, there's so many important books and films that were written that have this minutia attached to it, and I've always celebrated it, so.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. No, we're thrilled that it's out there. People want it.
Thanks.
It's a way of touching you and your film in another way. It's nice.
Thank you.
All right, so on that note, we thank you for watching. Watch the movie, go to Expansions, go to Montauk Chronicles, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.